45 years ago today, on a cold night in New York City, Mark David Chapman fired 5 hollow-point bullets into the back of John Lennon. The dreamer died on the steps of the Dakota Building. The world mourned. They lit candles. They sang his songs, especially one song. Imagine. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. It's a beautiful lyric. It sounds utopian, a plea for peace, a world without greed or hunger. The hippies loved it. The socialists loved it. But be careful what you wish for. Because in 2025, the global elites have taken Lennon's lyric and twisted it into the Own Nothing business plan. They listened to Imagine No Possessions, and they said, good idea, let's make sure they own nothing. That line leads directly to the World Economic Forum and the rise of the subscription economy. You've seen the headlines. That infamous prediction people quote wasn't just a catchy line, it was a roadmap. You will own nothing, and you will be happy. But there is a trap in the logic. John Lennon imagined a world where people chose to share. The elites are building a world where you are forced to rent. There is a massive difference between a monk who gives up his worldly goods for enlightenment and a serf who has his worldly goods stripped from him by a landlord. This is the transition to Neo-Feudalism, and it is happening right now, under your nose. Let's look at the history, because history rhymes. In the old feudal system, the deal was brutal but simple. A handful of lords owned the land. The peasants worked it. In exchange, they were allowed to exist. They paid rent in grain, in labor, in loyalty. If they stopped paying, they were evicted, starved, or worse. Today, the titles have changed, but the structure hasn't. The lords are now asset managers, megacorporations, and sovereign wealth funds. The land is now housing, data, digital infrastructure, and money itself. And you are being quietly downgraded from citizen to tenant, from owner to user, from a free man to a subscription serf. Consider the housing market. Why can't you afford a home? It's not just interest rates, it's because private equity giants like Blackstone are buying entire neighborhoods. They are outbidding you with printed money to turn a generation of homeowners into a generation of permanent renters. They don't want you to have equity. They want you to have a monthly subscription to shelter. Look at your car. It used to be that you bought a machine and you owned it. Now, cars are software platforms on wheels. Major manufacturers tried to charge a monthly fee for heated seats on hardware that is already installed. They want to turn driving into a service. If you stop paying or if you disobey the system, they can remotely disable your vehicle. You aren't the owner. You are just an authorized user. Look at your media. You used to own records, tapes, DVDs. They were physically yours. Now you have Spotify, you have Netflix. If they decide to remove a movie, it vanishes from history. If they ban an artist, the music disappears from your library. You are paying for access, not ownership, and access can be revoked. Think about what an average day looks like for a subscription serf in 2025. You wake up to an alarm on a phone you don't really own. You bought it on installment, locked to a carrier contract. The apps on it are subscriptions. Your music is a subscription. You leave the apartment you rent, get into a car you lease, drive to a job where your access card can be turned off with one click. You come home, order food through an app that takes a cut from both you and the restaurant. Even your fitness is a subscription. Your peace of mind is a subscription. Your life is a stack of monthly fees. Miss a few payments and you don't just lose a product, you lose your mobility, your comfort, your social life, in some cases, even your identity. This is the trap of servicization, They are turning every part of life, your home, your transport, your food, eventually even your health, into a rental agreement. Why? Because ownership is freedom. If you own your house, you can survive a depression. If you own your land, you can grow food. If you own gold, you can trade without a bank. But if you rent everything, you are a slave to the cash flow. Miss a payment, and you are on the street. Lennon was a complicated man. He sang about having no possessions while living in the Dakota, one of the most exclusive buildings in Manhattan. He understood the irony. But the technocrats in Davos do not do irony. They do control. The sharing economy was the Trojan horse. They sold it to us as convenience. Uber is great, no need for a car. Airbnb is cool, stay anywhere. But the endgame is the consolidation of assets. The billionaires own the fleets. The corporations own the housing blocks. The state owns the digital currency. And you own the bill. Now imagine what happens when that digital currency becomes programmable, not just money you spend, but money they control. A central bank digital currency doesn't need to kick down your door to punish you. It just needs to refuse the transaction. You want to buy more than your monthly meat allowance? Transaction declined. You post something harmful online? Your social credit score drops. Your travel budget shrinks. Access denied. In the old world, they could threaten your job. In the new world, they can rewrite the rules of reality around you with a line of code. No courtroom, no debate, just an error message on your screen. They tell you it's for the environment. They tell you it's for equity. They say it's wasteful to own a drill you only use once a year. And listen, they aren't entirely wrong. Sharing tools, sharing rides, sharing space can reduce waste. It can be efficient. But there is a nuance they are hiding. The problem isn't sharing. The problem is concentration. When a community shares tools, that's resilience. When a single corporation owns every tool, every car, every apartment, and rents them back to you, that's dependence. The line between sustainable and controllable is very thin, and they are quietly pushing you over it. There is a quiet freedom in knowing that if you need to drill a hole, you don't have to ask permission or pay a fee. December 8th is a day to remember a musical genius, yes, but it is also a day to reflect on the danger of utopian thinking. When a billionaire tells you to imagine no possessions, check his portfolio. Is he selling his mansions? Is he giving up his private jet? No. He is buying farmland. He is buying gold. He is buying the very assets you are being told are outdated. The architect's rule is simple. Own hard assets. There are only two categories that matter now. Assets that make you harder to control and assets that make you easier to control. A paid-off home, a piece of productive land, quality tools, skills, cash reserves outside the system, physical gold or silver, these sit on the hard-to-control side. Endless subscriptions, variable rate debt, leased lifestyle, and money that only lives in a bank app, those sit on the easy-to-control side. Your job in the next decade is simple. Move as much of your life as possible from column 2 to column 1. If you can't touch it, you don't own it. If it relies on a server to work, you don't own it. If it requires a monthly fee to function, you don't own it. Rebel against the subscription serfdom. Buy a physical book. Buy a piece of silver. Buy a high-quality tool. Pay off your car title. Get the deed to your land. Because the only way to stay free is to own your life. John Lennon is gone, but the people who want to strip mine his philosophy for profit are very much alive. Don't let them turn his dream into your nightmare. I am the architect, and I will see you tomorrow.